Hi, everyone. Mitch from PickDogs.com here with our NFL show. We do this every week all season long, and we'll continue to do it all the way to the bitter end here. Picks on the show, I think, have been pretty spot on. If you go throughout all the weeks, I think some of my worst ideas probably happen around Saturday night, but Wednesday it seems that we're thinking clearly and moving through these games. But Al, how you doing this week for NFL action?
I'm doing well. Actually, I've already loaded my plays at Pick Dogs. I've got my NFL game of the month on Sunday. I've got two other NFL plays. So I've got three plays this week, which for me is a relatively small card, but it's a strong card because it has my best play that I'll have in November. So kind of a, you know, I guess quality, not quantity this week.
Yeah, I love the college football card. I was just telling Jay before the show, but the NFL really dug too deep in, so today probably a good time for me to do that. The college football though, it's a stellar card. It's just that time of the year. I mean, even the bad games are good games. Miami, Florida State is a bad game. So Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, LSU, which always kind of decides. It's Miami, Florida State, and LSU, Alabama probably decided more national championships over the last 35 years than any other matchups.
Yeah.
But Jay, how you doing? You ready for some NFL action after the Cowboys? Dak Prescott kind of has it rolling once again here.
Yes, sir. I'm ready for this NFL action this week. No Cowboys, unfortunately, this week, so I can't ride my boys this week.
But I know this. A lot of people listen to this show and watch this show later on in the week as the week goes on. But this morning on our live show, Chris Ruffalo bad mouthing your Mavericks. I gotta tell you, he was unswayable. He's all over the Jazz tonight, so we'll have to see how that plays out. I know you always say that the Mavs play better against the better teams. Jazz certainly one of the better, at least so far in the early going. It'll be interesting to see if the Spurs, Blazers, and Jazz hold up over the course of an 82 game schedule.
Correct.
But, they're having fun right now.
Yeah,
they're having fun right now. That's for sure. But let's get into it. We got Thursday night football. Oh man, Jay and I are gonna be working halftime of this thing. That's why I took the Mavericks today on the show. I didn't even want to talk about it because we're gonna have a lot of dead airspace, I believe, as the Houston Texans host the Eagles. But, we've seen these Thursday night spots like this over the years, and these are the ones where, especially on the road, how many times have we seen, like, the Jaguars beat the Ravens and, all kinds of stuff happen in these games. And on Amazon Prime, that's where they usually like to hide, the mess. They usually like to hide them in the out-of-the-way spots. It just seems a little almost ripe for the pick in here, Alf. What do you think, Texans and Eagles?
Well, the Eagles have been installed as a 2-touchdown road favorite, and over the last 43 years, double-digit road favorites have not been good bets. They're 99 and 124 ATS, and they're especially not good bets if they're off 5 or more wins, as of course Philadelphia being undefeated is. Those teams have gone 15 and 34 ATS. There's only one play for me in this game. It has to be on Houston as a double-digit home dog.
Well, it's usually pretty difficult to talk Jay onto a Texas team against the team in the NFC East. Jay, what do you think in this one?
Well, as I'm continue to say all year, I took last week off fading the Eagles, and I'm glad I did. But this week I'm fading them again, man. I'm tired of these damn Philly Eagles, man. They got to come down to earth soon. They can't be this good. They just can't. This Texans team, they're a scrappy team, man. And Big Al's got to stay. I'm not laying 2 touchdowns with this Eagles team on the road. 2 touchdowns, 14 points, laying it. Man, that doesn't seem like a good idea to me. I got to go back and look on the season how many favorites of this high number have laid it. I don't think it's very high this season either. I know Philly's pretty good, but they're arguably, I hate me to say it, but they're the best team in the NFC right now, but I'm still not laying 14 with them on the road. I know they're defensively look good. I know offensively they look good. But like Mitch said, it just seems like one of those spots where they can kind of come out flat against the Texans team. Early turnover, we're looking at a different ball game than I think a lot of people are expecting. I'm gonna take the Texans plus the 14.
So I'd rather be the hot team in the last 5 games of the season, the first 7 games of the season. It seems like that always leads to a lot more success. I've seen teams get hot over the last 5 games, win it all. And teams have been hot over the first 7, just get smoked out. So
look at baseball for that example. Hell, the Phillies finna win the World Series, and the Dodgers are at home.
I wouldn't count Houston out.
I wouldn't count them out.
Hey, I wouldn't count them out either. But I'm saying odds-wise, I mean they're favored now. The Phillies are.
Wow, Jay is gonna have to be like Zawacki. We're gonna have to exile him from his own team. Like that's what we did with.
I still like Houston for the series. I got a pretty nice bet, but I'm just saying, hey, you can't start. It's not about how you start; it's about how you finish.
It's like Rod took St. Louis against Edmonton in the rematch, and we haven't let him back on the Oilers since on our bandwagon. So, but I don't know. I like the Texans in this one too. I think it's way too many points, and I think it is just one of those spots, And I think while it's a short week for the Texans, it's a short week. The Eagles, it's teams. What we've seen in these Thursday night games, it's everything that's wrong with football. It's everything that's wrong with it. I know people want to see more NFL, and it's to be honest with you, it's great for our site traffic and great for all those other things, and it certainly doesn't hurt us in any of those areas. But the product that's on the field on Thursday nights is absolutely terrible. The teams are on short rest. Okay, so you always get the day after the game off, right? So with no real practice, they watch film. So they have that day off. Then you have another 1 day of practice, travel day, and then it's game day for walkthroughs. So, I mean, it is really a watered down product. Then on top of it, like we talked about before, it's like we go from, watching games on Jumbotron, the biggest screen ever, right? There's always the next biggest screen ever. And now we're watching the game like this. There's nothing fun about this.
I've never understood why they do Thursday and not, for example, Friday. Like, why is Thursday the weekday? It's so early in the week. I'm just surprised. I understand why they wouldn't do Saturday because of the competition of college football, but why not Friday?
Because Happy Days was on Thursdays. Thursday's better TV day, supposedly, for viewership.
But
Seinfeld was on Thursdays, right? It's like it's just a Cosby show, just a big night. MASH, right? These are the big night.
People I get it. It's a Friday night's date night where people. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
I just think at least that's what I'm going to guess. We could probably get some TV executive, and they'll probably just tell us the exact same thing because there's $1 more to be made on Thursday.
That's fair. That's fair.
Makes sense.
But what we'll see here is a watered down product, and generally these games have been very low scoring. So 14 points in a low scoring game goes a lot further as well. The players really don't seem to like these Thursday night games, and we hear it before the season. They complain about it like crazy. The union in these negotiations, the Thursday night games have been a sticking point. Also, the preseason and all that other stuff has been sticking points. I mean, you have some guys just don't even make sense, though. The players, when they talk about the preseason, Carson Palmer, the fans want the preseason. No, they don't. Trust me on that one. They don't. I never understood why he said that. And the guy who had the best statement of any player that I've ever heard. And the Bengals, they're like, well, we're not going to trade you. He's like, well, I don't care. I have $90 million in the bank that you already gave me. He's like, I haven't spent a dime of it. I got the whole thing. I can show it to you. He's like, go ahead. Don't trade me. I don't care. It's like, that was the best. He's like, I have $90 million sitting in the bank. I haven't touched a dime. Got the Jets against the Bills. Another divisional game. The Jets, they played well in the first half against the Patriots, just did not hold up. I thought the Jets were oddly quiet with their wide receivers at the trade deadline, not getting rid of, Mims, who is really dissatisfied. And then they have the other guy, Moore, who also wants out. Not even getting rid of one of those guys when they do need help. Especially at running back. And there was some running backs available there. I think Kareem Hunt was available, but do you want Kareem Hunt and Breece Hall, later on down the road? Or, it's like you have all these issues, but it's like you had a chance to win now. Then you have the Buffalo Bills, who did not cover that massive spread against the Packers, as we thought.
Oh, that was. I mean, I had, obviously I had Green Bay in the games. I was happy, but what a miracle cover that was by the Packers. I mean, I can't. I mean, Josh Allen throws that interception, on the 2-yard line, and I can't go against Buffalo here. I know they're a double-digit road favorite. We just talked about how bad double-digit road favorites are, but I'm not going against Buffalo in this spot. But I'm also not going to take the Jets. Instead, I'm going to look at this game to go over the total. Buffalo comes into this contest off 5 straight unders. The Jets come in off 3 straight unders. And if you have one team coming in off 4 or more unders and its opponent coming in off 3 or more unders, those games have gone over the total 58.2% since 1980. Buffalo's also 17-4 over the total as a road favorite of -4 or more points. I just think this is going to be a higher scoring game than people think. I'll take it over the 47.
Hey,
for me in this one, I lean towards the Jets with the points. We know Buffalo has that knockout ability. If there's one team that does, it's Buffalo. Buffalo currently is my number 1 team in the NFL. I think they should be the favorite to win it all still. But this Jets team coming off of a loss, I think they can keep this game pretty competitive. I know that they lost Breece Hall. It was a detriment to my fantasy team, probably going to lose it for me. But they did go get Robinson. He's not Breece Hall, but, I mean, he's an upgrade over what they had there with Carter. And I think that they put the ball on the ground in this when they take it out of Zach Wilson's hands. We know how I feel about him. The Jets, I think this was kind of a curse season because I think they should have been in that quarterback mix because Zach Wilson, he's not the answer. He's not. He's decent, but he's just not the answer. And I lean towards the Jets in this one. I think they keep the ball on the ground, play some kind of ball control type offense. We've seen Josh Allen kind of be careless with the ball a few times. I think one turnover with a high line like this, it only takes 1 to 2 plays to keep it within the number, kind of like we've seen against Green Bay. And I'm not laying 2 touchdowns. Damn near. Give me the Jets plus the points.
Taking the Bills. The Bills, I think, sent a message at the trade deadline saying we want to get better. We could still be better than what we are. And they went out and got Hines. It's not like adding, Kareem Hunt or something like that, but it's adding a guy that can help their team and getting away from a guy that wasn't helping them, and getting something for him. I think, getting Robinson from the Jags, I mean, you got a guy for a 6th or 7th round pick. You got a 6th or 7th round pick worth a guy there. So it's not like Breece Hall is like, first round pick, who was really coming into his own at the time of the injury. I just think the Jets really cut themselves short by not even getting a rental player there at running back, like a reasonable one, a real one, when they could have for one of those wide receivers that they're going to lose anyway. They're going to lose both those guys anyway. So why not get something for it and at least show up? And, I just don't understand it. So I'm going to take the Bills in this one. I think that they unload on them. We go to our next game here, and the Commanders against the Vikings. I got to say, man, I had the Colts. I fell for it. The Commanders got me. They called back the Colts touchdown. We ended up getting no points on that drive, and then McLaurin with one of the all-time great fake outs, fakes like he's just coming in, and then as soon as the defender bites, he runs it all the way back. How you don't have safety help on that play or a guy back at the goal line saying, isn't that prevent defense number 101 when the other team needs a touchdown? You have guys that are back there and you say, no one gets past me. I mean, we saw it twice last week. And I was on the wrong side of both of them. So I'm extra bitter about it. And I think, Heineke, maybe this guy is a miracle worker, Maybe he is a miracle worker. Maybe he's the guy. There are certain guys that you have out there that they just have a knack for. They don't always look great doing it, but certain guys they kind of just get it done. Like Kurt Warner, like Kurt Warner. He just didn't really fit the part, but he kind of. I'm not saying this guy's as good as Kurt Warner, but I'm saying that certain guys out there they just kind of have it, right? And I think that maybe this Heineke does have it. And we all know Kirk Cousins doesn't have it. The Vikings got it done last week. I don't trust him on the road in this number. How about you?
Well, I mean, I've talked about this angle before. It's been pretty reliable over the last 43 years. When you get a home underdog of plus 1.5 or more points off a road win, and of course, Washington's off that road upset win, those teams are 155 and 94 ATS versus an opponent off a home win. So just a simple angle, it just kind of wins every year, and I'll take Washington plus the points.
How about you, Jay?
I'm on Washington as well. I still think this coming in right now, this Minnesota Vikings team is number 2 in the NFC, and nobody's talking about them. Nobody's high on this Vikings
for
team.
a reason.
I had them last week against the Cardinals.
I had the Cardinals, but nobody really cares about this. We're all waiting on the bottom to fall out of this Vikings team, and I think eventually it does fall out. I'm not buying it. We've seen Kirk Cousins do this before. And I think this could be a week where they just start to unravel. This Washington Commanders team flying under the radar. They're 4-4 on the season. Hey, they're keeping pace in this tough NFC East over there. I love the switch from Heineke. See, the difference is with the Commanders. With Wentz, they didn't really like that guy. Nobody seems to like that guy. Heineke comes in. He was their guy last year. He galvanizes the troops. They believe in him, and you can tell it. You can see it on the field. Like Mitch said, he's not the best guy. He's not. He doesn't have the intangibles that some of the other guys have, but he's a gamer. And I just think they keep it close. And to be honest, I like Washington on the money line at home. I think it's a bad spot for Kirk Cousins and him on the road. It's noon where Kirk Cousins does his best work, but I think that Washington defense can slow down that run. We haven't seen Justin Jefferson score a touchdown since week 1. So it's not like he's just been that explosive, and I think Washington can slow him down. I'm going to take him on the money line here. I think they keep it rolling.
I'm not willing to go on the money line, but I am willing to take Washington with the points. I think that you have to get, in all fairness to the Vikings, as lousy as they are and all these things that we could say about them, their one loss is at Philly. And,
Philly.
So it's really not a lot of shame in that. But, that's what it is. So if someone's asking for NBA picks. So the NBA picks, Jay did Jay's jam session where he went over every single game. I did videos on every single game. With Chris Ruffalo, he did half. I did half. We also went over every single game this morning, but this is our NFL show. And we got Jay's jam session every single day. And Al, if you haven't caught Jay's jam session, I will tell you this. The future of our industry is in very good hands with Jay and Ron Romanelli. These guys step right in and it's like, man, you don't even know what it was like. These guys, man. You give them the crack of opportunity. I have had guys, and I'm getting sidetracked here, and Al will say the same thing. I'm sure is that we've both given young guys chances. Guys that seem like they really want it, and then once they get in, you see them just not even make the most of the opportunity and kind of come up with excuses as to why they didn't. Instead of doing it. And just doing the best that you can, even if you're not 100% that day, you do what it takes to get the job done, and you do the best that you can with what you have that day. I always say that, it's like, I'm not the best I've ever been, and I'm not the best I'll ever be, and it's like, you do the best that you can, but, certain days you're going to be fire and certain days you're not. And, but I see guys like Jay and Ron, and I say, these are the guys, right? If you guys ever want to get into this industry and you're given an opportunity, these are the guys, man. Reach out to them or whatever, and say, I'm sure they'll both tell you the same thing. Some nights it sucks, it just sucks. You just do it. Like I'm sure Jay, when he saw that NBA schedule for today, it was like, oh, man. Yeah, that's exactly how it is, man. But it's like you do what you got to take, you move on, and then tomorrow's a 2-game. You get that pick, and It all works itself out, It all works itself out. But I'm really excited about it and excited for Jay's success. Anyways, we've got the Lions taking on the Packers. This is a traditional rivalry. This is about as traditional as it gets. Lions, Bears, Packers, Lions, Packers. These are the traditional rivalry games. This one could have been on Thanksgiving, if they wanted it to be. It's that type of game. The Lions, one of the best 1-6 teams you'll ever see, but really not playing as well recently. Last week, they got off to the big lead against Miami. At halftime, I took Miami. I was like, they're going to win this game, even though they're and to cover the original spread.
You told me that at half too. You said Miami's going to come back and cover the original spread, and I was like, hell no, and they did it.
They did it. They did it. But, they didn't make it look easy. The Lions, I think, have a lot to build on here. I think they're building on something, and I think Goff is part of the problem, and they know that. And they're going through the motions with him. And so a 1-6 for the Lions probably isn't all that bad of a thing. I believe they have picks from the Rams coming too on top of this. And the Rams, turn out to be terrible. They might have to check into that, but they must have something coming from the Rams on the Stafford deal still. My guess is that the Rams mortgaged the future on that Stafford deal. I don't know. But anyways, Lions against the Packers. Al, what do you think?
Well, for me, I take a look at these two teams. First, Green Bay is stepping down in class here. If you take a look at Green Bay's schedule, they've played a lot of teams that have 500 or better records. They've only played two teams this season which have losing records, and they covered the spread in both of those games. That was Chicago and Tampa Bay. The Lions have a crap defense. They're giving up 32.14 points per game. Green Bay's defense is playing well, 21.62 points per game. And when you take a look at how road favorites of more than 3 points, currently Green Bay's favored by 3.5. Road favorites of more than 3 points, they've gone 72-48 ATS if their opponent was giving up at least 31 points per game. I think Green Bay's going to be so happy, to get on the field and, see the Lions defense instead of the, say the Buffalo Bills defense. I think Green Bay smokes them.
So anyways, I checked it out. They do have the Rams first choice, first pick, and it turns out that it's number 14 right now. There's a site they use, and I don't usually endorse other sites or anything like this, but the site Tankathon is really good at this. They have it exactly how it would be, tell you exactly what's going on, and they show you the trades that took place to get these teams to these spots. So the 14th spot was the Rams, and now it's the Lions, and the Lions would be picking number 1 overall if the draft was today. So they are sitting in very good position because I think getting out of the top 5 or 6 would be difficult for them at this point. When you look at the other teams that are in the mix there, the Texans, the Panthers, the Steelers, the Jags, the Raiders and the Bucs, the Saints, the Browns, and the Broncos. Most of those teams you would think are going to move their way out of there. Have a lot better chance of moving the way out of there than the Lions do. So I think it's between the Texans and the Lions, maybe the Panthers for that number 1 overall. Jay, what do you think of this game?
For me, in my opinion, in this game, this is the perfect spot to take the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions, to me, are a team where their stock is really high. So when you fade them early in the season, that's what we saw. A lot of people were high on the Lions coming into this season. Now we look at this game, they're off of a 29-0 loss to the New England Patriots. They lost to Dallas 24-6. And then they were winning and covering last week against Miami, and they coughed it up. Everybody's selling their stock. I'm gonna buy some more here this week. I'm gonna buy some Lions stock. I think they keep this game pretty close, and I wouldn't be surprised if they won it outright. I'm not sold on this Green Bay team. This Green Bay team isn't good at all either. They've lost 4 straight games. And let me remind y'all, 3 of those games were against the Giants, Jets, and the Commanders. This Green Bay team, I know Big Al said that they haven't they haven't been, the teams that they played are pretty good, but I go look and say, no, they're not. They're okay. And I think this Lions team is pretty much the same caliber as them. This Lions offense definitely can put up some points. Green Bay's defense isn't as good as people think it is. I think this game is going to be a lot closer than we think, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions beat them at home. We've seen the Lions beat Green Bay at home plenty of times over the years. It's a divisional matchup. I'm not laying points with Green Bay. I'm sick of Green Bay already this season. Give me Detroit.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers has a 108.8 passer rating, 6,055 yards and 52 touchdowns with 8 interceptions against the Lions in his career. That's a career for a lot of quarterbacks. Those are big numbers. I have to believe that he's going to come out of his shell against this team if he's going to come out of his shell at all. I'm with you. I think the Lions are the best 1-6 team I've seen in a long
A
time.
long time.
Yeah, but 108.8 with 6,055 yards and 52 touchdowns in 24 games. He averages almost 3 touchdown passes a game against these guys in his career. It's like 8 interceptions in 24 games. That's 1 every 3 games he throws an interception against them.
I also like the over. I'm gonna say I like the over in this one as well. I think it's back and forth. We finally see some points.
And I've jumped off the Packers and the Bucs both early. I was an early exiter of those teams.
Took
But
me
maybe it's time to get back on the Packers here in this one. I don't love the 3.5. I'm not. Believe me, this is not like one of my top plays. That's for sure. We've got the Falcons taking on the Chargers. Falcons not so good the last couple of weeks after that 6 in a row cover. They have not covered the last 2 weeks now. I thought they had a chance in both those games to do something, but they didn't get it done. That Carolina game was the game where I got roasted also on that pass play. Carolina and the Falcons and the Colts. How do you let the guy get behind you? I mean, in Washington, I could almost understand that they got baited in and the guy ran past. But in this one, Moore ran right past him. I mean, he ran right past you. How do you not have help back there?
Ridiculous.
How do you not have help?
Why are we not in prevent? Like,
I don't even understand it. It's like it didn't even make any sense.
What made even less sense was him blowing the game and taking off his helmet. But
yeah, I mean that was their one chance. They didn't get it done. It didn't even help them. What do you think of this one now?
Well, for me, I'm going to look at the fact that the Chargers are coming off their bye week. They had last week off following their home loss to the Seahawks. Rested single-digit road favorites off a loss. They're 20-6 ATS versus non-division foes. Atlanta, they did win that game last week at home. Atlanta is horrible when they get their back-to-back home games. They're 10-34 ATS at home off a home win. They never put 2 wins together. I'm going to take the Chargers -3.
How about you, Jay?
man, okay. So coming into this week, the top 2 teams against the spread are the Atlanta Falcons and the Dallas Cowboys. So, hey, I've been riding them teams so the wheels fall off. We're going to continue to do it. I'm back on the Dirty Birds this week, even though that they took me on the biggest emotional roller coaster I've been on this season with that game last week. Oh, my God. I'm laying 4 points. We're up 3. I think I'm dead. We get the ball back, go put up a field goal, up 6. I'm thinking I'm gravy. If y'all follow me on Twitter, y'all know I had a big parlay with the Falcons on it. I'm thinking I'm great. Oh, my goodness. I still have nightmares about this fucking 60-yard bomb that we've seen from P.J. Walker of all people. It's not even like it was Aaron Rodgers. This was
Welcome
P.J.
to
Walker.
our industry. I've been beat by every quarterback.
Man. Oh, my gosh. I've never seen anything like that before. I mean, I have, but that one's going to stick with me for a minute.
Don't worry. Next week is college basketball, so we'll reinvent getting roasted on plays like that. We'll be getting jimmered left and right.
But here this week, man, I don't trust this Chargers team either coming out of this bye. I think the Chargers are one of the more underrated teams. And I think this week, a lot of people that were on the Falcons last week are going to start selling their stock again. I think this line may move a little bit towards the Falcons' direction a little bit, too. I think we can catch a 3.5. We wait a little bit. I'm going to take the Falcons here in this one. I think they run the football on this Chargers team. We've seen them be susceptible to the run this week. I mean, a lot. And I'm back on the Dirty Birds, man. I wouldn't be surprised if they beat the Chargers outright. Hey, the Falcons are still they're number 1 right now in the NFC South. They're leading their division. I mean, hey, who would have thought that? Give me the Falcons this week. I think they keep it rolling.
Yeah, I like the Falcons too. I'm not big on usually on the Marcus Mariota up against this type of defense, but this defense is missing too many pieces. And what we saw in the preseason is when the Chargers dug into their depth, they got roasted. I mean, they got just absolutely destroyed when we saw their backups in, and their backups are in, and missing Boza. He's the type of guy that like ruins a day for Mariota. But without him in there, I don't think that they get to him. Keenan Allen, questionable. Williams out. These are like the bailout guys for the Chargers, who are the most overrated team, and have a coach that makes those questionable decisions, where it's just like, what the hell are you doing? It's like, you got to ask yourself watching these games. It's like, what exactly are you thinking out there? Because it doesn't make any sense.
It's going to be a 4th and 4 from like the other side of the field. They're going to go for it. They're not going to get it. That's typical Chargers, Yeah,
it is. It is typical Chargers. I'm going to take the Falcons. Got a team that's done a nice job running the football and covering games. We go to our next game. It is the Bears and the Dolphins. Man, Dolphins 5-0 with Tua, 0-3 without Tua. The Bears were unable to follow up from that win against the Patriots with any kind of positive performance in Dallas. They got crushed in that game. The Dolphins, I don't think we've seen the best of them, but I did tweet this out, and it was something that I read, and it turns out that trade of the number 3 overall pick to the Niners, that was Trey Lance. They traded that number 3 pick for Trey Lance. That pick ended up being, with the pieces that they got back from San Francisco, it ended up being Jalen Waddle, who they took with that first-round pick that they got from the Niners, Tyreek Hill, and Bradley Chubb. That's what they ended up getting for Trey Lance. That is the trade of the century. Any way you slice it, it is the trade of the century. And the thing is that the issue is that we could always say, oh, yeah, it was easy. They traded this and this. But you see guys that were first-round draft choices, NFL starters now, traded for second and fifth-round picks, something you never used to see. And it's all because of the cap, right? It's like the problem with Bradley Chubb wasn't that he was underperforming or anything like that. Bradley Chubb, makes Bradley Chubb money, That's the issue there. He deserves it. He's that good. But it's like, you have to structure your team, and you have to basically build for that. So the Dolphins, this is an interesting situation here, because the Dolphins were the team that were in that situation this year to do that, to get Tyreek Hill, to get Bradley Chubb, to get, these other players that they had, like Melvin Ingram, and as an afterthought, they had the ability.
Rookie contract.
Yeah, they had the ability to do all of those things. The Bears are the team that have that next year. They have just a boatload of room. A boatload of room, and they will be out and going getting Justin Fields, the supporting cast of the cream of the crop that's going to be available out there. That getting rid of Roquan Smith, Quinn, these big contracts, they're going to be in really good shape, but I don't know if it puts them in good shape in this game. I know. So, I always like to tell my stories, and the Bears were undefeated. It was in what the year they went to the Super Bowl with Lovey. So they were undefeated. They were 16.5-point favorites against the Dolphins. I tried to scalp tickets for the game in Chicago. I lived in Chicago at the time. They wanted like $900 a ticket for like upper deck. I said, and the Super Bowl was in Miami that year, and I knew I was getting tickets. I'd won the lottery, right? I'm a season ticket holder. I won the lottery. I knew I was getting 2 tickets to the game. I said, all fine. I said, if you need Super Bowl tickets, you call me. $5,000 a piece. I don't care where in the stadium they are, and I'm selling them to Bears fans. And that's exactly what I did. So, what comes around goes around. And I'll tell you what, the Dolphins ended up as 16.5-point dogs in that game. They whipped the crap out of the Bears in that one. Straight up, they beat them. Dolphins have a good record against the Bears historically. They always beat them. I'm going to take the Dolphins here at Soldier. I love Soldier Field. Love it. I miss the things like when I lived in Chicago, I loved going to Soldier Field. Whatever they had there, concerts or football or whatever. It was a great place. Al, what do you think? The Monsters of the Midway.
Well, both teams involved in high-scoring games last week. The Bears and Cowboys combined for 78 points. The Dolphins defeated Detroit 31-27, so 58 points. NFL games have gone under the total 60% of the time the last 43 years. If one of the teams was involved in a game that totaled 78 or more points and its opponent was involved in a game that totaled 50 or more points, I just think this is just a kind of like a not a bounce back, but they both were involved in high scoring games last week. I look for a lower scoring game here. I'll take it under the total.
For me in this one, I've actually watched full Bears games now in back-to-back weeks. Who would have thought that? I watched the full one against New England. I think that was a primetime game. And then last week I watched all my Cowboys games from beginning to end. So that's 2 weeks in a row I've seen a lot of Chicago Bears. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I've been impressed a little bit with what I've seen with the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields looks like he's improving. He's keeping the ground on the ground when he doesn't have it. He'll tuck it and run it. The defense kind of looks better. I know that Dallas rung them up last week, but I just think that was a great spot for Dallas. It was a great bounce back spot for Dak Prescott. But the offense was looking better, and that's been the main downfall for this team this year is the defense. Is the offense. But I like what I've seen in back-to-back weeks from this offense, and I think they have enough to hang around here with Miami. I'm with Al. I also lean towards the under. I don't think it's going to be a track meet from Miami like a lot of people are thinking. And so I think Miami doesn't score as many points as people are thinking, which brings their total down. And I think Chicago brings their total up. I think they keep it close here in this one. I could see Miami winning this one by like a field goal late. So I'm going to take Chicago plus the points. I think they keep the ball on the ground. Even though they were getting blown out against Cowboys last week, they stayed with the run and they had success. That's why they got to their highest point total that they have had thus far. And they continue to run the football effectively, and they cover here against the Dolphins.
Dolphins went out and got Bradley Chubb because they're thinking Super Bowl now. They beat the Bills already straight up at home with the full Bills team. They beat them, and they feel that this is their year. You don't go out and get Tyreek Hill because you can. You get him because you're thinking Super Bowl. Tyreek Hill makes $26,100,000 a year. That's what the Tyreek Hill costs. Bradley Chubb costs $7 million and change, but my guess is he's going to be in the 15 range as well. You don't go out and get players like this if you're thinking about just casually making it in as a wild card team and then bowing out gracefully.
That's what they're going to be. That's what they're going to do. I know they don't think so, but that's what they're going to do.
They beat the Bills straight up. If they get into a tiebreak situation with them, they own the tiebreak on them.
Wasn't that game in Miami? Second time go around, it's going to be in Buffalo, and they're not going to bode well.
Well, we'll have to see because when push came to shove, Josh Allen was eating turf. He got pounded in that game, physically beat. It was the first game I've ever seen where Josh Allen was physically beaten down in a game, and it was that game. And I think with Chubb, it's only going to be worse. And I think the Dolphins found something here, and I think the Bills went out and got Himes because they knew that when they play Miami again. And they're not able to get the ball out of this guy's hands in a hurry, they're going to hit him again. And they might not have him to maybe lose the championship game again next year, like they do every single year. The Bills are a team that can get to the mountaintop, but can't get over the top. And we've seen these teams traditionally over the years so many times. The Bills were like that before at the beginning of this decade, at 2000, 2001, right? Was it then or was it was even before then? It was like the 90s.
91,
yeah, when the Cowboys were good last time, it might have been. I think it was after 91. I think 91 was like the Washington teams with all that, like 88 was Washington with the Ripon teams. It was slightly after that, so probably mid 90s or something. And then they lost to the Giants. That was probably. Oh yeah, so maybe it was in like 93. I think the one that lost to the Giants on the Norwood miss was like 93, maybe. I don't know. Anyways,
so are you back on the Dolphins? Are you back on the wagon? I know you've been off for years. Are you getting back on? It sounds.
I'm in.
Okay.
I'm
Mitch
in.
back on the wagon.
I'm in. I have my season tickets. I still have season tickets. I got my Dolphin picture right here. I got Kenyon Drake dragging Gronk into the end zone for the winning touchdown right there.
I remember that game. Yeah,
I got it.
I just think Buffalo's gonna like I said. I think last week. I think Buffalo's gonna win the Super Bowl this year, and it'll be like
kick their ass.
I think Buffalo's gonna do to the Cowboys what the Cowboys did to them.
We
I got Cowboys Dallas too, and I don't know. I mean, I got Buffalo Dallas as well. So
we kicked their ass. Okay, we played them straight up.
No, I mean
the only games Miami's lost are the ones where they didn't have their quarterback.
That's a good point.
The only games they've lost, they didn't have their quarterback. When they've had their quarterback, except for the game in Cincinnati where he started with in a coma, and they wheeled him out on a stretcher to even start the game. That was the only game that he started that they lost.
I just think Buffalo loses 2 games this year. That first one to Miami, and I think they lose in week 17.
The second one to Miami.
Well, and I think they lose in week 17 in a meaningless game versus Cincinnati when they don't play anybody. And I think those are the only 2 games Buffalo loses this year.
I think they lose to the Dolphins again. And, back in the day, Miami beat Buffalo 20 times in a row. And I think maybe they start a new one here. And
we shall see. I don't know. I don't see it.
I just think that the Dolphins, when they play the Bills again, the secondary will be healthy again, and they'll have this pass rush, the rushing attack, adding Wilson in there. Big move. Edmonds, oh my God, the game that they lost, where they went for it, the one where, not that they didn't lose the game, but they didn't cover, and he deserved to be traded just on that alone. The Pittsburgh game, that call where they gave it to Edmonds there. I mean, instead of kicking the field goal, that was ridiculous. I'm glad they traded him, and I wish they could have traded him to an even worse team than that. Is what you hope for. Is that you hope that they send him to like Carolina or something, after that display. But I think Wilson's an upgrade at running back, and I think having him with Mostert is a better combination back there than Edmonds anyway. I think Edmonds was a big disappointment. I think he was a mistake, and I think they exited early on that. I just think that the Dolphins are the better team, and I think they take care of business here against the Bears. I think they're going to shellac them.
24-20 is what I'm calling.
The Dolphins traditionally pound on the Bears. I mean, traditionally. I don't. We can go back and look at the head-to-heads, but my guess is it's 10-0 in the last 10.
24-20, give me the under, and they give me a Bears cash.
Head-to-head. Miami 31-28 in 2018. That was a bad Dolphins team that drafted first. So the last time the Bears beat the Dolphins was 2010. 16-10. The game that I was talking about was 2014. Miami 27, Chicago 14. Dolphins were – no, the one I'm talking about was 2006. 31-13 Miami. Miami was a 16-point favorite and won by 18. That was at Soldier also. That was the game I was talking about. So 2006. That was the year that Devin Hester had the monster year.
Yes.
But these teams don't play each other much. They don't. They never have. Anyways, Dolphins Super Bowl.
You sound almost as delusional as me.
It's happened. Dolphins Cowboys rematch. Super Bowl 6. Return the favor. That was like my oldest memory of like really watching the game and being thoroughly disappointed.
That would be the greatest halftime show in the history of halftime shows.
Yeah, well, the Dolphins Cowboys, when they met in Super Bowl 6, is my earliest memory of a disappointing football game. So however many years ago that was, 50 years ago, is my most disappointing memory for sure. It was Bob Lilly was the Super Bowl MVP, and he deserved it. He was in the backfield all day. But anyways, we go to our next game here. We're going to all agree to disagree on this one. We're going to go to the Jaguars and the Raiders. These two teams are in Tankathon. These teams are both drafted top 5, 6 in the NFL draft. I think the Jaguars are probably the worst team in the NFL. I think it's the coach. and he stinks. And we haven't seen Doug Peterson be effective as an NFL head coach since Frank Reich left for Indy. He has not been, sometimes it's that assistant that carries you over the top, just like Bill Parcells was always more effective with Bill Belichick as his defensive coordinator. I think that Doug Peterson, without Frank Reich, has shown us absolutely nothing except that he knows how to lose games. I mean, he made the Denver Broncos look good this past Sunday in London. He's made everybody look good. He stinks. I'm still mad about that 2-point conversion against Seattle on Monday Night Football 2 years ago. That was a horrible beat. Remember that one out where they just stood there and they ran in the 2-point conversion? It was like,
I can't.
You're probably on the right side of it. It was like a Monday Night Football game. It was like the Eagles were just getting slaughtered by the Seahawks. And it's like they had like done ridiculous plays all night long, like the opposite of what you would think that they should be doing, like on fourth down, not going for it, on fourth down, going for it, doing the opposite. And then they finally get a garbage touchdown at the end of the game, and they go for 2, and they cover, and Seattle just stands there. They don't even, they just stood there.
I don't remember. I probably didn't even have a play on the game.
I'm going to guess you did. But anyways, it's the Jags and the Raiders. These two teams are terrible. The Raiders have to be one of the biggest disappointments in the league. I believe last week against the Saints, they were sick. They had to have been. They just looked sick.
I didn't even understand why they were even favored in the game. I mean, yeah, it was only by a point, but
because New Orleans had looked just as terrible. That's why.
Well, now they're favored on the road again at Jacksonville, but road teams are 63% ATS off a 24-point or worse upset loss. I'm going to take the Raiders and lay the 1 point.
I wonder what the road teams are. It's favored in Jacksonville.
I can find that out if you want.
I'm sure it's pretty good.
I'm going to, hearing this one, I'm with you, Al. I'm going to take the Raiders as well. I told y'all last week, I'm done with this damn Jags team. I sold my stock, and I had sold so much stock of the Jags. I took the overrated Broncos last week. That's how you know that I was done with this Jags team. Y'all know I do not like Denver. I tell y'all Russell Wilson is overrated. But in that same breath, this Jags team has just been disappointing. They were like my second favorite trash team this year behind the Falcons, and they have just not lived up to what I thought they were going to be. Trevor Lawrence has not looked like the savior that he was supposed to be. Defensively, they're not getting it done.
It's like the coach.
You think so? It might be. But like you said, Russell Wilson looked good last week, which was surprising. So I'm going to continue to sell my stock on this Jags team. Give me the Raiders. Although the Raiders haven't looked good either, are the most disappointing team in the league. I had them winning this division this year. That's how high I was on the Raiders, and they just have thrown that back in my face. But this week, I'm back on them. Give me the Raiders. They win this against the Jags.
I've seen it before where you have a team with talented players of a team that's drafted really high, and they bring in a good coach, and it turns around in a hurry. It was the Dolphins that did it the year that Nick Saban came in and coached for a year. It was like, wow, this guy, and that's when we knew he was good because he had won the national championship at LSU. But then it was like, wow, this guy is really good, because he was able to turn the Dolphins around, and you could see it in a hurry, what he was able to do. And the Jags need someone like that because Doug Peterson really was a bad hire to begin with. I don't understand why you hire a guy that's, goes out the way that he did. It didn't make any sense. It makes about as much sense as a Steve Sarkisian hiring for a big gig. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't. Well, you laugh now, but they're playing Kansas State this week. I would lay 7 touchdowns in that game with Kansas State against Texas. I would no chance. No chance.
Where's the game at? I haven't looked.
No chance. It's at Kansas State. No chance.
I don't know. Kansas State
they have no chance. Okay, there's 0 chance in that game. There's 0 chance.
Hook them.
They're road favorites at Kansas State, even though they haven't won a road game all season. So be my guest. But Kansas State, by at least, it's one of those 38-13 type games or something like that. You saw what they did to Oklahoma State and dressed them. Anyways, and they hate Texas. I'm taking the Raiders here. I don't love this Raiders team either. I think they're a badly coached team also. But the Jags are just so bad. They're on my Washington Wizards list right now.
How long do y'all think McDaniels holds on? He's on that list too now.
I think that you give the guys a year. You have to give them time. Doug Peterson, I don't think deserves time, but I think he doesn't deserve more than a year.
Well, do you think? So do you think Hackett deserves the year as well? I mean,
yes.
You think so?
I think Denver's going to be fine.
Well, I think everyone deserves a year, but I think Hackett's also been awful. So,
I think Peterson's worse.
I think McDaniels is worse.
These are bad coaches.
We've seen McDaniels fail already, and he's failing miserably here.
Well, Brian Harson's available, as we predicted on Saturday's show. He would not make it out of the week. Got the Patriots and the Colts. The Colts, they got no excuse. They fired their offensive coordinator, but they should have also fired their defensive coordinator after that loss. Sam Erlinger, however you pronounce it.
Hook 'em.
Yeah, he looked real good. They were on the 3-yard line, got 0 points, and ended up losing the game. Really did a nice job there. They traded Hines. The Colts, they're still just 3-4-1, so they're very much still in the thick of things here. They're far from out of it. They have a lot of good players on this team. The Patriots 4-4, really, not the least impressive 4-4 team out there too, right? It's this is like the Taylor Heineke Bowl. These both are like the Taylor Heineke.
There's a lot of unimpressive 4-4 teams this year.
Yeah, this is,
There's a lot of unimpressive teams, period, this year. Yeah.
But usually the NFL usually decide those last 5 or 6 games of the season is when we usually see who's going to do it. The Bengals had played it. The Bengals had lost to the Jets last year, right? They ended up going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I had the Bengals in that one. It was a massacre, if I remember correctly.
It was nothing fun about it. It's never fun losing to the Jets, that's for sure. The Cowboys lost to the Jets last year also, Meadowlands. Patriots, Colts out. We don't know who's playing quarterback or what's going on, but New England looked a lot better in the second half last week than they did in the first half.
Yeah, I gave out the Colts here on the show last week. I had a good week on the show, went 9-6, but the Colts was not one of them.
At Colts.
I'm going to take the Colts again. They're 50-24 ATS off a straight-up loss, including 10-1 ATS as an underdog off an upset loss. It's a lot of points. I'll take Indianapolis plus the points.
No, sir, not me. Give me the New England Patriots here. I'm going to lay the points. Sam Ehlinger on the road against Bill Belichick. You will not catch me there. We know what he does to young quarterbacks. He eats them up and spits them out. This is going to be another game where that happens here. This Colts team, they're okay. They're a mediocre team. I've been high on this New England team. You pick your spots. You made some money with New England this season. Nice win against the Jets last week. I had the Patriots. I'm going to take them again here this week. I just think the defense dials something up the same way. I've been rolling this for a few weeks now. Same reason why I kind of took them last week against the Jets. I just thought the running game wasn't going to be that effective, and Zach Wilson wasn't going to make a play to win it. And I kind of feel the same here. I think the Patriots just play some good defense. Mac Jones is Mac Jones. The Patriots were fortunate not to lose that last week because Mac Jones threw that horrendous pick 6 at the second half, but luckily got called back. But I'm gonna lay the points with the Patriots. I think they're the right team. They're the better team as well. I think they play better defense here this week. Give me the Patriots.
November 4th, 2021. My wife.
Colts, that fucking coach. I just knew we were gonna win. It's gonna be the worst beat I've ever had.
Yep. Different years, same freaking story. The Colts, man.
The Colts.
They kill me, man. They kill me. I'm going to take the Patriots. I can't do it to myself again. I just can't do it. I'll go down. I'd rather just go down having the Patriots than have to sit through another Colts disappointment. Man. We got the Bengals taking on the Panthers. The Bengals 7.5-point favorites. Sometimes they put in the hook because they're afraid and they think maybe that'll scare people off. I'm not scared. Out Bengals, Panthers.
Well, I mean, the Panthers, they've been competitive since the coaching change. They're 2-1 ATS.
They have. Hurt my pockets.
Yeah. They're 45-23 ATS on the road versus an opponent which doesn't own a winning record. Cincinnati was blown out this past Monday, 32-13. But when teams get blown out on Monday Night Football, they usually do well in their next game if they're an underdog. If they're a favorite, they do poorly. Cincinnati's favorite here, I'm taking Carolina plus the points.
Jamar Chase, out still, it really hurts the Bengals.
Just a lean for me in this one. I'm a lean towards Cincinnati. Like I just said, man, this Carolina.
We agreed on like every game last week.
I know.
Okay, now like we're disagreeing. What's up?
I know, right? I know.
How did you guys do last week?
I was 9-6. How'd you do, Jay?
I think I came out positive as well. I think I came out
like we agreed on it. Like every day.
I came out pretty positive as well. So okay week. But I'm fading Carolina this week. I need some of my money back, man. Especially from last week. PJ Walker's not that good, and I think the Bengals kind of make him look pedestrian this week. I've been waiting for the bottom to fall out. I didn't see them outrighting the Bucs. I had the Bucs and that one laying the 13. I should have listened to Mitch. They can't score 13, so how are they going to cover by 13? Then they, with that horrendous backdoor cover against my Falcons last week, and I still thought I had life in overtime, and of course they kicked the field goal, and I don't get the cover. I'm gonna take Cincinnati this week. It's not my favorite play, but I don't have no faith in this Carolina team. Give me Cincinnati.
I like Cincinnati too. I don't have a lot of faith in Carolina. I don't think those Hail Marys hold up week after week. It generally doesn't, but sometimes they do. The thing is, the Bengals are not the same team without Jamar Chase on offense. They're just not. They're not. And I don't know. 7.5 just seems maybe it's a lot. I lean to the Panthers. What the hell? Cardinals are favored against the Seahawks -2 here. The Cardinals 3-5. The Seahawks 5-3. Seahawks looked about as good as they could, beating the Giants last week. I thought they beat them handily. I was surprised. I think the Giants had chances at the end, and the Seahawks just shut the door on them. Al, what do you think here? Odell Beckham Jr. talking about going back to the Giants. They're off this week.
Y'all's division bet is in trouble because Seattle's leading that division currently.
Well, the Rams didn't help my cause last week, that's for sure.
Yeah.
The Rams are on my dead to me list.
Arizona, they were favored the first meeting too. On the road. Now they're favored by a like amount at home. Arizona, besides being upset by Seattle in the first meeting, they also come into this game off a loss at Minnesota. NFL teams that play with revenge from an upset loss, if they also lost their previous game straight up, they've covered 57% since 1980. I'll take Arizona -2.
Here we go. Here goes an agreement, Big Al. I'm with you on Arizona. Y'all know I've been on Seattle a lot this season. I've been high on Seattle. Let me go back and look. I was on them against the Giants last week. Finally, I got some money back from the Giants. Finally. They beat the Chargers the week before. And then, like you said, they covered against against the Cardinals 2 weeks ago. They beat them outright, won by 10. Here this week, I'm on Arizona. I just like the addition back with DeAndre Hopkins. They were in that game last week. I had them on the money line. Even though they were down most of it, I thought we were going to get a typical Kyler Murray last inning drive. He's going to run around and score. I was going to cover. But, it didn't happen. Here this week, though, I think we're in play for it. Seattle has looked good. I can't lie. I've been on them a lot this season, but I just like Arizona this week. I think Kyler Murray and them make a play, and I think this division here comes down to the final week. All 4 teams still in play. I think it's going to be tight to the end. Give me Arizona here. They win it at home. Even though they suck at home, I got to tell y'all, Arizona is terrible at home. Big Al, can you give us the stat for Arizona at home?
I mean, I know they suck at home. I can look it up. I know they're much better on the road than they are at
Much
home.
better on the road. So,
Yeah.
but I think they get it done here tonight.
I gotta say the Cardinals are straight ass. I mean, you guys sit here and bash the Vikings. Well, the Vikings beat the crap out of them. Okay, I watched the game. I watched the Vikings slaughtered them. The game was not even as close as the final score. It's Kirk Cousins like not able to shut the door and leaving it wide open, all that stuff. And the Cardinals compete. They've only missed 1 2-point conversion all season. Well, now you've missed 2. And it's like, it was like everything like that. No way. Seattle is a team that finds a way. Clappy will go down as one of the greatest football coaches in the history of the game at the college level and at the NFL level. Here's a guy just like Bill Belichick, had a chance somewhere else, fizzled out on it, came back somewhere else and made the most of it. And this year doing his finest coaching job that we've ever seen him do. Geno Smith is his quarterback and he's rolling to the thing. I mean, this is like Trent Dilfer winning the Super Bowl type stuff. This is like, this is really unbelievable what he's doing. He doesn't have like a great offense. He doesn't have a great defense. It's the next man up. And now he's getting some of the, he lost his running back Penny, but now it turns out this Walker is a home run. Now he gets Travis Homer back.
It's nice.
But Travis Homer comes back, and he's a guy that's filled in this role nicely, kind of as that maybe 5 touches a game type guy that, one of those touches could go to the house. He's been that type of guy throughout. I don't know. I just think that I think Seattle just finds a way. I think the Cardinals are a team that's going to be looking for a new head coach too. It'll be interesting to see where because there's a lot of NFL teams looking for head coaches. They always go to the assistance of the team that's winning big. So it's the Eagles offensive coordinator is probably one of the guys that they're going to be looking at.
They're going to be looking at Dan Quinn. I pray to God Jerry pays whatever and he stays.
They'll be looking at the same guys, that they always look at. But there's certain guys that are just better assistants. Oh, man. I'll never forget the day the Dolphins hired Cam Cameron. Oh, man. I was beside myself. It was like as happy as I was the day they hired Nick Saban. They like flew down a private jet, picked him up. It's like, all right, we're going to get Nick Saban as head coach. It's like awesome. And then, then we get Cam Cameron as his replacement, and he drafts Ted Ginn with his number 1 overall pick, 10th pick in his draft. It's rough.
I also have to say in this game here, Call of Duty did come out last week, so take that into consideration. Call of Duty Kyler will be trending this weekend, so be weird. I still like the Cardinals.
just to give you the stats, Jay, you had asked for. So recently, Arizona won in 8 straight up, 2-7 ATS their last night at home. But if you look at how they've done as a home favorite going back to October 4th, 2015, they're 10-25 ATS as a home favorite.
Trash at home. Yep.
Including, this is crazy, 10-25 ATS as a home favorite, including 1-9 ATS as a home favorite in division games.
Yeah.
That's not going to get the job done.
That doesn't sound like it's going to get the job done. But I like them, though, this week. I know trends sometimes are meant to be broken. They are. So I'm fading trends this week.
Give me Clappy. 2 points. Tampa Bay against the Rams, they're probably thinking when they got this game, oh, man, it's going to be like a championship preview, Meanwhile, it's like the Rams don't have a first-round pick to even play for here, and the Bucs, they're dreadful. Tom Brady's hating life in Tampa. This will be it for him. It's got to be. It's got to be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man.
He can't play forever. There's been plenty of better athletes than him that have just nothing worse than guys that hang on just too long. It's like, why tarnish it? I like the guys that go out on top. Brett Favre went out on top. Manning went out on top, and Manning was terrible on that team. But he knew he was done, and he just went out on top. Brady had a chance to do that.
Cam Newton gifted to him, or shit, Von Miller did, I should say.
Whatever it takes, man. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. But you have that chance to go out on top, man. It's like it's always way prettier than what we're seeing here in Tampa with no running game whatsoever, and they didn't go out and get any help.
Right.
Ronald Jones back in the fold. Oh no, not Ronald Jones.
I mean, this is. I know when the schedule makers drew up this game, everyone thought this was going to be a great matchup. It's turned out that it's like the B teams. I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here. They failed to cover the spread in each of their last 6 games, but home teams are 39-21. ATS went on a 6-game or worse ATS losing streak, including 22-7 ATS if our home team is not getting more than 3 points. Nobody's going to want Tampa Bay in this game and lay 3 points. I'll lay the 3.
The Bucs have played 4 home games at this point of their 8 games. The Rams have only played 2 road games so far this season.
Yep.
So their schedule is back end loaded on the road. So that pick that the Lions have could be a really, really good one. That they get from the Rams, because they looked terrible last week. I mean, you can't beat the 49ers at home. You're not going anywhere.
I'm gonna be honest, I do not like this game at all. I can't get behind the Bucs. I've been on the Bucs like every game this year, and I know how that's turned out. The Rams, on the other hand, that meltdown in the second half last week is still fresh in my mind. I don't understand how that happens to San Fran of all teams, but I like the under here.
It happens when you drop 2 interceptions that are right in your hands, and you have a chance to turn the game and really have a chance to put them away. In an NFL game, it all comes down to 2 or 3 plays, and it's like when those plays are an interception that's right in your hands, and it's your best player. Might not be your best player because you have so many good players, but he's one of your top 2 or 3 players on your team. When he drops 2 interceptions that are squarely in his hands, that are, one is probably a touchdown, and the other one is definitely a drive stopper. Well, you're not going to win.
Yeah. For me here in this one, these are 2 struggling offenses. Matthew Stafford doesn't look the same. This Bucs team, like Mitch said, they can't run the football. They throw the ball 80 times a game. And even when they do get open, you got Mike Evans dropping bombs wide open. So this Tampa Bay team, I just can't lay points with them. The Rams, I can't get there with them. So I like the under here in this one. I think both offenses continue to struggle. We see more of a defensive game. People see these 2 quarterbacks, these 2 teams, so automatically think over. I'm going contrarian. Give me the under.
Well, we saw Matthew Stafford with the Lions for years, so we know what the bad Matthew Stafford looks like. And the only thing worse than Matthew Stafford, than we saw last week is Matthew Stafford without Cooper Kupp, and that's not going to be good. It's going to be really bad. And I mean, the Bucs can't score more than 13 points in a game, so under for me. I don't see either of these teams, scoring. I see a lot of turnovers and penalties. Things that you see in a game where 2 bad teams play.
A lot of field goals.
Wonder if they try and move Aaron Donald in the offseason, the Rams, and just try and break it all the way down again, because it's going to be very, very tough. I think not getting Odell Beckham Jr. back has been kind of the difference. He kind of was the guy that elevated them up last year. He was the difference maker. It's like the Dolphins with Chubb. They think that he has that same effect, that Beckham had for the Rams last year. Losing Von Miller, it's hurt them. There's a lot of things going on here with this Rams team that's bad. And the Bucs, I mean, if you can't run the football, I always think, and I looked at the big college matchups already this week, and I say the same thing in there. If you can't run the football and stop the run, then usually you lose a lot of games. The Rams are 31st in running the football, and the Bucs are 32nd in running the football. And it's no wonder that they stink. The Bucs are also 24th against the run. It's like, it's bad. It doesn't matter who your quarterback is.
I agree.
This is going to be bad. This is a lousy game. We should get to pick the announcers for the games. But the thing is, there's only 2 late games on Sunday in the 4:00 slot. It's the Cardinals, Seahawks, and this one, and that's it. So they were really thinking that this was going to be a gigantic, big matchup when they made the schedule. They really thought that this was like a Packers versus, whatever, Chiefs type thing, It just sucks to be us. We've got the Chiefs against the Titans, who Titans just continue to just do what they do. It doesn't really matter. Put in Malik last week, and I think he's actually better than Tannehill. Certainly is a rookie, but Tannehill doesn't have the skills. Chiefs 12.5-point favorites in this one, but the Titans seem to always play them really tough, and because they have number 22. So I mean, it just seems like a lot of points. Derrick Henry is, we look at his stats, and I've said this every single week because I watch all the Titans games. I don't know how I get sucked into it, but I always get sucked into watching these Titans games. And the thing is about the Titans is that they seem to have more plays called back, and it's like when you look at it, and the NFL looks at the statistics, and when statistics are reported, what you see is the penalty yards. You rarely see the yards in the play that was called back because of the penalty. And we've seen more 12, 15, 18-yard Derrick Henry runs called back than any other play this season. And, it just shows you what kind of year this guy has had. He is arguably one of the top 10 running backs of all time. I don't even think it's arguably. I think in my book, he is at this point. He is one of the top 10 running backs I've ever seen. He's in that Earl Campbell and, type discussion for me. Walter Payton, O.J. Dickerson. Did you see though the stat, Al? The stat was this week was that Derrick Henry's 200-yard game tied OJ for the most all time. That's how good he was. Is that all these years later, his record still holds. Him and Adrian Peterson are tied for the most 200-yard games in their career, and now Derrick Henry is with them. But that's how long. I mean, you don't see any of those records that have held up, especially considering he played 14-game seasons and Henry plays 16, 17-game seasons, too. But we could say what we want about OJ the person, but OJ the running back was something special.
I still can't. I mean, it's still surreal when you think of what he did. Have to murder 2 people. Like the whole thing's just like what the
I know it predates Jay, and he probably wasn't alive for the Bronco chase. That's how long ago it was at this point.
Yeah.
But
now I live in the neighborhood O.J. Simpson, lived in. I walk the dog past his old house. I mean, it's just.
Did they level the house? Is that what happened?
They raised the house or leveled the house, and they also changed the the house numbers, so it's no longer the same address either.
It was a nice house, right?
Yeah, nice house. Or it was a nice house. It's a nice house now, but crazy. In this game, I look at the fact that the Chiefs had their bye week last week. They're averaging 31.85 points per game, coming off that 44-23 blowout win over the Niners. NFL home teams that are off their bye week, and if they're a really good offensive team averaging 27.5 or more points per game, they've gone over the total 61%. If the over-under line was 43 or more points, I mean, for me, this just looks to be a really high-scoring game. I'm going to take it over the total.
For me, this is a tough game because I go back and look. Titans have ripped off 5 in a row.
They always do. It's quietly, under the radar. This is what they've done every year.
That's what they do. Granted, I will be honest, their competition isn't all that great. Las Vegas, Indy twice, Washington, and Houston. So the competition isn't that great. But they, like you said, you can only play who's in front of you, and they've ripped off 5 straight. Kansas City coming off the bye. A lot of people like to take teams off the bye. I like to fade teams off the bye. I think that a lot of times it could be a flat spot, and I think this could be a flat spot for Kansas City. I do think they win it, but I think this game's going to be a lot closer than they think coming off that bye, and then now you got to tackle again, and the first guy you got to tackle is Derrick Henry coming downhill at you. I don't know, man. This is one of them games where I just see Derrick Henry getting downhill. A lot of people betting the Chiefs. I'm going to take the Titans here in this one plus the points. I don't think that the Chiefs got the blowout in them this week. I think they win, but it's going to be tighter than a lot of people think.
I'm going to take the Titans also. I think this one is a playoff-style game, and the Titans actually played the Chiefs pretty tough over the years. They've had a good deal of success over them. In fact, I think the Chiefs have only won once in the last 10 years against the Titans outright. It's usually exactly what you just said. Derrick Henry running downhill, and he gets him into the second half. And, like I said at the beginning when we started talking about this game, what we see from Derrick Henry this year doesn't even include these 18, 12-yard runs that have been called back. And I believe it is the most called back play that I've seen this season. And I've watched every game of every NFL team and everything, and I see his runs get called back all the time. And, you see him just get better and better and better. And he makes everyone around, you have a good running game. It makes everybody better. You could have a lousy quarterback if you have a guy that can, that is impossible to stop running the football. We're going to see collisions, but they're not going to stop Derrick Henry. They certainly didn't last year. I mean, he ran all over him. How many yards did he run on him last year? He ran for 86 yards, 29 carries, so they just never stopped feeding him the ball. And he made Ryan Tannehill better, and Derrick Henry threw for a touchdown in that game on an option pass. And they beat the crap out of the Chiefs. The Chiefs got a garbage field goal at the end of the game just to avoid the shutout because they were getting slaughtered so bad. It was one of those things, so,
Tannehill still listed as questionable, but I think that should let Malik play, honestly.
Yeah, Malik's awesome. He's the future. He's so much bigger than he looked at Liberty. It's like he grew another foot and put on like 25 pounds.
Getting the NFL nutrition, not that Liberty nutrition. He didn't get that D1 nutrition.
Well, Henry doesn't look like someone's saying they met Henry in person. He doesn't look like a small guy on TV. He looks like the same size as like Myles Garrett size. He looks, like 6'6", 6'7", 275 pound type guy. You see him hit those defensive linemen. They go backwards. I don't know if the Chiefs hold up against them. It's like they seem to get frustrated a lot. I like Chris Jones, but he's not having his best year. It's a good one. We got Patrick on the other side, so it's going to be fun halftime. That's for sure. Got the last game, right? It last is
Ravens
Saints against who? They playing them?
The Ravens.
Saints Ravens. Ravens. They've been getting it done all season too. 5-3, but they beat Tampa Bay last week. That was another argument at halftime. I think we had, right? That was a primetime game.
Which one?
Another one. Ravens and the Bucs.
Yeah.
Primetime. That was another one. I was just said the same thing. The Bucs. they can't. They
Bucs
stink.
got me. The Bucs got me again. They just keep getting me, bro. I'm done.
That's like me and the Wizards. I'm done with the Wizards already. We're in the first 2 weeks.
8 games in, and you're done with the Wizards.
I was done with the Wizards before the 8 games. I was done with the Wizards on Friday when I had them against the Pacers. I watched that game.
I actually Wizards are one of my premium plays tonight. I have the Wizards, so we'll see what happens.
Free premium from Big Al. There you go.
There it is, free premium pick, but I maybe not because they're so dead to me. It's like the Wizards are just so bad. It's like a team hurts you that bad. It's like And the thing is, Al, that's the only NBA game I've lost in a week. In an entire week, I've lost one NBA game. I took the Wizards against the Pacers. I mean, they got slaughtered at home. Like, they were terrible. It was like, what in the hell is going on? In hindsight, the Pacers are really not that bad. I mean, I think that's part of it too. Anyways, what do you think here? Saints against the Ravens.
Oh, I like New Orleans here. New Orleans coming off the 24-0 whitewash of the Raiders. Monday night home dogs are 22-10 ATS off an upset win. Home teams off a 24-point or better shutout win. They've covered 59%. Just a momentum play. I'll take New Orleans plus the 3.
Hey,
I hate to do it, but I'm with the New Orleans too, man. I know Lamar Jackson is my guy. I love that guy, man. But here this week, the Saints showed me something last week. Their defense looked pretty good. They shut out the Raiders, or did they shut them out?
Yeah, 24-0.
Yeah, they did shut them out. So their defense came to play for the first time of the game of the year. And we typically see Baltimore on a primetime game every year just come and fall completely flat. I think last year it was against Miami. They just came out there and just got slaughtered. Here in this one, I think the Saints can pull out the win in front of their home crowd. Like I said, that division in the NFC South is wide open. The Saints sitting at 3-5 still have an outside chance of making it. The leading in their division is only the Falcons at 4-4. So they're still in it, as bad as their season has been. They got a shot here in this one. I'm going to take the Saints on the money line, to be honest.
I thought that the Ravens were the winners of the trade deadline. One of the winners as well. I thought the Dolphins were big winners, and I thought the Bills won also getting Hines. But I thought the Ravens were also the really big winners because they got a guy that fits their system and fills a need, and is also one of the best players in the league. So it's like when you can do all of those things, well, you win. And I think with Roquan Smith, I think they believe they have the missing piece on defense. They've always done really well with a sideline-to-sideline linebacker that can make up that kind of ground. The Ravens always hit you with big interior defensive linemen and then let their linebackers run wild and just smash your players half to death so they don't want to play anymore. And then they stick their corners out in man coverage, and the quarterback's just running for his life, throwing up balls, and that's what we're going to start to see from the Baltimore Ravens with that Roquan Smith acquisition. That's how much of a difference this guy is going to be for them. I think that they fell short. They knew that on the draft choice that they got, the guy from LSU, I think it's Queen was his name, that he had fallen short of the expectations. But Roquan Smith is the number 2 tackler in the NFL. This is not like just some other guy or just some average player or anything like this. This is like if the Cowboys traded Parsons and the Ravens got him. It's the same thing. I mean, you're splitting hairs with these two guys. Roquan Smith out of Georgia, that Kirby Smart defense, all that recruiting class. He was their best guy there. He's the best guy in the NFL at linebacker. Him and Parsons. Imagine if they're both on the same team. It's like the Ravens are going to be very, very, very dangerous. I like the Ravens in this one. I think no problem. I think they're going to say, "Oh man, what a pickup this was." Because he's that type of player. I think when it's a defensive guy that gets picked up like Bradley Chubb or like Roquan Smith, that it doesn't get the notoriety that some of these other things. The Saints were taking offers for Kamara. That's how they felt about this season. So the Saints have basically cashed it in. And I think that, you could try, running Taysom Hill with these plays that the Saints have gotten away with. Well, the Ravens got a guy that's going to have no problem. This is what he does. I like the Ravens here. I think we're going to start to see a different Ravens team in this. I think they win this one, no problem. I love the Ravens. I love Lamar. He's like one of my favorite players too. I like the guys that do this stuff that nobody else can do, not because it's a play that's drawn up or like Tom Brady. I respect that he's a great quarterback because he can execute and he seems to be able to do the check downs and find the open guy and do all those things. But guys like Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray, like when he's running with the football, or like it's just you can't coach that. Or Mahomes, It's like
They just make plays.
they're just unbelievable, right? It's like these are the superlative athletes out there, and it doesn't take away from how great of a player Brady is, but it's just, to me, it's like I take one of these guys that, because you just can't teach. Roger Clemens used to say that 100-mile-an-hour fastball, you can't coach that.
Yep. No Cowboys this week for me, man. I can't just give y'all an automatic win like I do every week.
The other side to the equation here on the Roquan Smith and the Chubb acquisitions, though, is generally the big player moving from team to team hurts the team that loses the guy a lot more than it helps the team that gets the guy. Well, that was the Wilbur Marshall experience with when he left the Bears and went to Washington. Ever since then, that was the expression. So I don't know. I just think Roquan Smith is just such a good fit in Baltimore. And I think the culture there, just makes him the guy, I think it's just a place where he can really flourish. And they're going to pay him.
Yeah.
They have no problem paying a guy. The Bears have always been dirt cheap.
Except for paying my guy Lamar. That's what they need to pay.
Oh, they'll pay him.
Yeah, I know.
They pay him. It's just when you get to the crazy of crazy money,
Yeah, I just had to throw that out there.
He'll get paid. It's just like the Cowboys. They pay Dak Prescott. It's like these guys get paid. No one's gonna cry a tear for any of these guys. Usually when they're battling it out the salaries at this point, it comes down to like it's what it is. It's like it's the guaranteed money.
Yeah,
that's all exactly it comes over.
Deshaun Watson messed up the game with their 230 guaranteed.
Yeah, like Tyreek on that contract that he has with the Dolphins, it is Tyreek contract. It's a $120 million contract, but it's the guaranteed part that is the big thing about it. So he got $72.2 million of the $120 million is guaranteed money. To which you say, I'm pretty well set for life, right? So the guaranteed money is everything, and that's usually the sticking point in these NFL contracts. In baseball, everything is always guaranteed. So it's a different thing. But anyways, thanks everyone for joining us. We're getting to that point in the NFL season. We're going to start to see the haves and the have-nots, a bigger separation here. I think we're already starting to see it, and maybe we'll get some favorable point spreads from some of these scrub-ass teams. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Let's make some money this week. We'll see you tomorrow. Jay and I will see you tomorrow with that Texans-Eagles halftime on Prime. It's going to be – it makes it even better. We should do our halftime on Prime. That would make it – I think we can. I'll find out how to do it. Broadcast on. I know our podcast version is on Prime, so we can probably get on there. All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Make it a winning week.